Hello, Future Bestsellers. Welcome to the Writing Sprint live stream today. We are super excited to have you guys all here with us. I am Lisa Daly, and this is my channel. Actually, it's my channel and Robert's channel and Michelle's channel. It's kind of cool. The StreamYard lets us do that. Anyway, welcome today. Let's introduce everybody. I'm going to start with Robert today. AKA the Story Detective. Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
Well, my channel is The Story Detective, where I put various forms of storytelling under my Sherlockian microscope and break down the craft so that you, the viewer, hopefully will have an easier journey. And new videos coming in April. There are plans, and I'm going to stick to it this time because I'm going to get that channel going again.
We believe in you, Robert. We believe in you. I'm not even like, well, eventually I'll put more videos up. That's where I am right now. Michelle Schusterman is here as always. So glad to see you. Please tell us a little about you and your awesome channel.
All right, I'm Michelle Schusterman. I write young adult and middle grade novels, and my channel is Traditional Publishing Chat, Writing Vlogs, and Writing Workshops.
Yay!
Also, Robert, I really love your shirt.
I know. I was going to say that earlier. I also love Robert's shirt. I am very much feeling that, but it's been really cold here. It's supposed to be like 80 today, but it's been like actual cold place weather. And it was only a week, but I still feel like I need a vacation. So thank you, Robert,
for
making us
here too. But
yeah,
I'm on fire today. So you must have also caught the literary fever. So we are going to set 2024 ablaze.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love the shirt. Oh, that's so awesome. Avi wants to know, where in the world is RV Michelle today? Where are you joining us from today, Michelle?
Today I am in St. George, Utah. And I have a short that I'm editing on the stream. I'm hoping to put it up later. But yesterday, if any of you have ever been to Kanab, Utah, right outside the town is this giant animal sanctuary called Best Friends. And we went and did a tour. And I have all the pictures of all the animals. Pigs, dogs, cats. Like, they have a whole parrot house. It was
I love that. I love that. That is so awesome. Well, and if they have like dogs and like more kind of domesticated animals, it sounds like.
Their whole thing is they take in animals that are unadoptable and rehabilitate them, whether it's like because they're sick and diseased or just have like training issues. They got really famous about a decade ago because they took in the Michael Vick's dog
pit
ring.
bulls.
Oh, they were supposed to be euthanized, but Best Friends took them in, rehabilitated every single one, and most of them got adopted.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. That's a little bit of a happy ending for an awful, awful story.
Right? Yeah, it was. Anyway, so
but you know me,
I'm into dogs.
That's so great. That sounds like the greatest thing. We have this farm market not very far away from, it's probably like 45-minute drive from our house. And they have, which I think is freaking genius. You can feed the cows. They will sell you a bucket of random vegetables and you go out, and these cows are like the nicest cat. They just hang out by the fence eating vegetables all day. And they're super, right? And they're just like,
awesome.
Yeah, they're so peaceful. And it's just like, yeah, every time we're anywhere near that area, we're like, we got to feed the cows. So
this place has an RV park, cottages, and cabins for people that want to come stay and volunteer as long as they want.
Oh, I love that.
We put this out there. The tour guide said, it's hard work if you hate sitting with cats on your laps for hours, taking them on stroller walks, and having sleepovers in your cottage.
Oh my God. Are you staying there at night?
We didn't plan on it this time, but I really want to do their RV park and like stay there for like a week and work with the dogs. And yeah, Josh is super allergic to cats, so he has.
Oh, so he can't do that part, right?
No cat sleep.
Yeah, no. I love cats, but I used to have them when I was younger, but I, like, in my late teens, early 20s, developed a pretty severe cat allergy. And the horror geek, he can't come within like a 15-mile. He also loves cats, but he can't come within like a 15-mile radius without like.
That sucks.
So. I know it does, because cats are so cool. So
they are,
and they're such good like writer friends.
They are.
Okay,
Indeed.
let's say hi to some of our, speaking of friends, look at that transition. Speaking of
Yeah.
friends, let's say hi to some of our friends in the chat today. Mary Wimbley got here first today.
Ooh.
Yay. Only staying for 30 minutes, but we're very happy to have you for the chat and hopefully for our first sprint. Devin's here. Yeah. Hello. All right, everybody. I think we all know what's coming. Lainey has remembered that it is Wednesday and we are also. Yay! We're very glad you're here, lady, as always. We're so glad. Look who else is here. Adele is here.
Hey.
Oh, we are super, super excited to see you. Michelle Schusterman's here.
What?
He's so fun when he hangs around. The Cool Gamer is here. Hello. We are super glad to see you. Katarina's here. All right, guys. Awesome, awesome. Sisters, authors, friends in Canada. This is my favorite writing stream each week. I can't always comment, but I'm always lurking. Aw,
Oh,
you
yay.
made my whole day. That's so awesome. Love, love, love that. Cynthia's here. Hello, Cynthia. We got a good crowd today. Vixen's here.
Uh-oh.
Something happened there.
Where'd you go?
Didn't disappear, but the
The
microphone.
sound did, yeah.
Is it better? Is it better?
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Come back.
No. Oh, I can't hear you guys though.
What?
What? Technical
Whoa.
difficulties. Hold on one second. I'm just going to switch to my computer audio and then we'll wait. Default. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I
yes.
can't hear you. Probably because I have my headphones on. Let's see. No, I still can't hear you. Oh my God. All right, here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to do a sprint.
Yes.
We're going to do our 5-minute warm-up sprint, which I, for once, already have the thing up. So there's a relief. We're going to do our 5-minute warm-up sprint. Oh, I say I have it up. Oh, there it is. And then hopefully while we are doing our first sprint, I will be trying to figure out whatever my audio problem is. So here we go, everybody. We're going to do our warm-up sprint a little earlier than usual. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what we are working on today. So here we go. Get your drinks ready and your documents open and all that good stuff. And we'll see you back in 5. Here we go. All right, we're back. I can hear myself, so I can assume you
Yay.
can hear me also. Yay! All right, let me get the banner here. I couldn't find anything unplugged, but it did work to like plug everything back in. So we did not make it all the way through the comments. So let's go back. But while we are doing that, you guys let us know what you are working on in the chat today. Michelle, what are you going to be working on today?
I've got 2 different client things going on. One is a ghostwriting client, and we're early brainstorming the next project. And the other one is doing some line edits on a book coach client's book.
Very nice. Very, very nice. How about you, Robert? What are you working on today?
Well, I just recently finished the read through of my manuscript and made my editing notes. So I'm going to start revising and rewriting my own manuscript today.
Yay! That's always good. I know like a lot of writers hate edits, but I love that like wordsmithing process. I really do.
So do I.
It's kind of a right? It's already done. You're just making it better and funnier and more, deepening. I love that part. I know a lot of authors really hate it though. So I don't know if it's like they're like, "Oh, I just want it to be done." The horror geek is like that. He does not like his stuff is really he writes a really clean first draft, but he does not like to do rewrites. In his brain, like it's over. I don't want to do it anymore. How about you guys? How do you feel about doing edits after you have completed a manuscript? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Something in between? I'm dying to know. All right, let's say hi to some of our friends that we did not have a chance to say hi to before my microphone went crazy. Cynthia's here. I think I did say hi to Cynthia, actually. Hi, Cynthia. We're so glad to see you. And Dixon, I think we also said hi to you, but we just want to make sure that we get everybody in there. Daisy's here. Hello, Daisy. So glad to see you. Right. This is how I am. This is so funny. I'm not sure if I told you guys this story before. When I was younger in my advertising career, I was offered a creative director position for oh my God, I can't remember Feed the Children. Or basically I would fly all over the world, primarily countries in Africa, and do those ads with those starving babies. And it paid a lot of money and it would have been a great opportunity to travel. And I thought I turned the job down. It was a huge opportunity for me, but I could not do it because I knew after the first trip, I would come home with 17 babies and that I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it. And I feel that if I spent time at Best Friends, I would come home with 17 animals.
Oh,
like,
God.
Right? Like a little hedgehog and 5 new dogs. And yeah. She says I wouldn't kidnap them, of course. I would just want to. I feel your pain, sister. Book lovers here. Hello. Super, super glad. As someone who's been misunderstood because of my intense nature, pit bulls get such a bad rap. They do. And it's so heartbreaking too. If you ever go to work in an animal shelter or go to adopt a dog, there are so many pits there and they have such a hard time adopting them out because they have such a bad rep. And they can be very, very sweet dogs.
They were the nanny dog. They used to be the breed that would take care of babies.
And now they have this. That's heartbreaking. I didn't know that. That's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And now people say, oh, if you have a pit bull, you should not have it around a baby. So, of course, they're right. Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're all people and dogs, I think, have it in them to be good and kind. And
exactly.
wonderful.
You should always be careful if you have a baby and a pet.
Right. Well, that's exactly true. Although Will Stir Fry and Odie are besties. He is like the most like patient, sweet dog, and we're teaching Stir Fry gentle.
Yeah.
So he still does occasionally get like a fistful of fur, but Odin's pretty like he's very chill. So, but he like gets a little kiss on his head, or when he's sleeping in the little bassinet, Odin will go look on him and check, and like it's just very sweet. So. All right. I work today, but if I was home, I'd be writing with y'all. Christian, we're so glad you made it today. Hello, Lusanda. We're so glad you're here today. Vixen loves cats. Allergies are severe. Yeah. Puppies are good. We have a hypoallergenic dog, and that really helps because some dogs really bother me and some don't, but
Mm.
I just don't want to live in a life. Like, I don't want to live a life without a pet. I love a little snuggly animal. 4 cats, 2 dogs, more fur babies than people. Love that. Love, love, love. Yay, dog. We're super glad. Right? Right. I thought this was funny. Avi says Lisa's like Jodie Foster from Contact. Yes. I love this. Michelle dropped a link in the chat for you guys, bestfriends.org. Very, very nice. Love that. Regina needs to make some coffee. I feel you there. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do have my giant vat of sweet tea. Oh, that's a great idea. Calendar to keep the timeline of your story. That's very nice. That's always one thing where I like those types of details are always things that I have to sort of write down. I don't do big, extensive character sheets, but I do keep note of things like what college they went to, what color their eyes are, so that you don't end up describing them differently. And I've never done like a calendar that way, but I definitely do sort of a timeline. Realized during the warm up, my thumb drive's in the other room. Oh no. Uh-oh. Good job. Very nice. Normally, okay, so this is Elaine's our first to answer the editing question. She says, very strange. Normally I prefer edits, but lately I've been procrastinating them and avoiding edits. Feel that. Ooh, Lasanda says editing is her favorite part. Feel that. You could have been Sally Struthers. Auditing a 2-star review. The comment was there was no chemistry between the 2 main characters. There wasn't supposed to be until the end, trying to find the disconnect. Let's talk about that when we come back from our sprint.
Yeah,
we're
that's
going to talk.
interesting.
Yeah, like how to increase the chemistry between your 2 main characters. All right. My pencil doesn't work, but I'll try to. You guys remind me if I forget. All right. I love that, Cynthia. That's a really good thing. So let's talk about that. Maybe something will spark for you. Book lover, writing my first book, noting so much that needs to be fixed in editing already. It's pretty overwhelming. First of all, that's right. First of all, book lover, congratulations. That's awesome. You're writing your first book. I am like, we don't usually bring this out more than once in a show, but you know what? That's called. Yay, you. Congratulations on working on your first book. Do not worry about the edits in your first draft. Just plow through until the end. All that stuff can be fixed. Michelle, yes. All that stuff can be fixed later. But if you get hung up on it now, it can really slow down your progress and keep you from finishing the book. So get the book done, and then all that. And the other thing is, as you go through, your brain will start solving some of those problems that might not even be solvable at this point. So just let it be. It's hard, but do it anyway. Just keep going through. You're going to make it.
Yes.
Yeah. Sister says, in my opinion, people who train the dangerous ones to be dangerous should be the ones who get punished. Yes, exactly. We should put them up for adoption. We'll see how they do after that bad behavior. I'm sorry, that's not right. Avi says, I love editing. First drafts are always a long slog for me. Yeah. I love like the beginning. I love writing the beginning. I love writing the end. I try to make the middle as entertaining as possible, but middles are more challenging. And but then I love the editing process. Love. Well, I shouldn't say that. I love the editing process when I have allotted enough time for myself to do it. If I'm on a crazy tight deadline and I'm trying to cram through edits, that makes them less enjoyable, obviously. Yeah. Regina says, first drafts are pure joy, right? It's the love of writing. I love that. Cleaning that up is still fun. Facing editors' comments after 5 times through the book, not so fun. Right. But I always use these suggestions. Very, very good advice. Very good advice. All right. So when we get back, and there's some people in here I'm going to want to hear from, and I think you know who you are in the chat. But when we come back, we are going to talk about how to increase the chemistry between 2 main characters. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and do our sprint, our first sprint, if I can find it. Let's see. I was so good. Hold on. I'm going to click on it because that always makes it pop up higher. All right, we'll try that again. Dun, dun, share the screen. Oh, this is nice. So I don't know how long they've been doing this, but like when you share your screen with StreamYard, you used to have to check a box if you also wanted to share the audio. And now it's just like an on toggle and you can toggle it off, but you don't have to check it every time. And I have to say, I very much appreciate that. All right, everybody, we are going to do our first 20-minute sprint. I'm super excited about writing today. Did we talk about what we were writing about? In the chat, if you haven't already, drop in what you're going to be working on today. I don't think I mentioned I'm actually working on a client project, a ghostwriting project. So that's what I'll be doing today. All right, everybody, here we go. Get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's cha-cha. All right. So, our first question for the day is, what are you working on today? And our second question was, what's your advice to increase chemistry between two main characters? So, we have lots of comments. Let me get rid of the banner actually. All right. Let's see what we've got here. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Here we go. Um, this is interesting. Sisters created calendars that start on each day of the week so I can keep track of timelines for other years. All started on a Tuesday, even ones for leap years. That's good.
Hmm.
Avi's working on audit reports because if I worked on what I really wanted to my book during my remote office hours, my boss is going to question why he hired me. Right? Yeah. Hello, Matt. Super happy to see you
Hi.
today. Book lovers at 30K in my dark romantasy project. I hate the middle so much. I think my problem is that I have so many scene ideas that organizing them in a coherent order is so much more difficult. One way to kind of solve that is to put those scene ideas on index cards, each scene on an individual index card. And then you can move them around in a way that makes the most sense. And also, it helps you to sort of eliminate those ideas that are really superfluous or kind of outside of your storyline that are not going to work. So I hope that helps. You guys have any other advice for that?
Sometimes you can combine scenes too. Think about the emotions you have going on and what you're trying to portray, how it moves the story forward. Can it be shifted to another part of the story? Can they be combined into one particular
Yeah.
scene?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting problem to have. Usually you hear people say the middle, they're like, it's boring, or I don't know how, like, I don't know,
But right, the soggy middle.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like having too many scene ideas is actually a good problem. And I think
Yeah.
Robert's totally right. You just need to make some combinations.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so Matt is questioning their sanity. I feel I feel you on that this week. Sister's working on YA dual timeline mystery novel, transcribing the outlining I did during my lunches at work over the past few days to Scrivener. Good for you. Very nice. Did I miss this one? Cynthia King. Is somebody auditing a 2-star review. The comment was no chemistry. All right, let's see what Regina says. Don't rethink your skills after a 2-star review. Oh yeah, definitely don't do that. There are dozens of reasons someone might leave a 2-star. They're hurt, they're sick, they're high, they were reviewing someone else.
Agreed.
They're grumpy. They're reviewing someone else's book. They don't understand the rating system, none of which has anything to do with the writing. We all get our ones and twos. Take heart. Yes, yes, absolutely.
And honestly, I really think it can actually be harmful to your writing to take one bad review
Oh,
that much to heart.
absolutely.
I have a ghostwriting client that we were working on a series together, and back when we started drafting book 2, book 1 had just come out, and so she was getting reviews and she was obsessing. And I early in the brainstorming phase for book 2, I was getting all these messages from her being like, this Goodreads review said the character felt too young, but this Goodreads review said the character felt too old.
Too
And
old.
she wanted to like somehow fix all of that in book 2. And I had to be like, okay, this needs to be your rule. If like half of the reviews that you have on Goodreads say this one thing, like the character seems too young, we'll start taking it into consideration. But you're not allowed to freak out if it's one person.
If it's one review. Yeah, that it
you can't. You just
no, you can't. Well, people have different perspectives. You also have some shadow writers, especially with consumer reviews. So people who would really like to be writing novels but critique them instead.
can't.
And yeah, there are plenty of reads. Now, sometimes you will get reviews where you do get a similar, sort of message over and over again about, there's not enough depth, or this wasn't believable, or I wanted this guy to be more, alpha, or whatever it is. If
Yeah.
you continually get that message, then it is something that you want to consider. But one review, 2 reviews, oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
No.
I've always looked at it as no matter what you do, there's going to be people that really love you. And those are one extreme of the situation. And then you have the people that sort of hate what you do for no reason. They're always going to be there, but that's not your audience. There's the middle ground. And those are the people you're writing to. I also want to say these days, but it's not really these days. It's always been that way. there are certain ideas, buzzwords, just things that affect people in a certain way, and they just hit that in your novel. They wouldn't even finish reading it. It's just bad because it hit them in the wrong way. So they
Mm-hmm.
can't take it
Mm-hmm.
seriously.
Yeah. Lysandra says shadow authors are real. Yes, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Cynthia thinks I don't agree, but trying to see it from another point of view. All right.
There's no harm
Well,
in that as long as it's
no.
not getting in your head too
Mhm.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like-
sometimes you do get, I mean, sometimes there are reviews where they say, like, oh, well, this isn't, or I would have liked to see more of this. And you think, like, oh, yeah, that really would have
Right.
made the story better. Like, if it really resonates with you, then sure, make the edit before publication. And the fact that you say I don't agree, but trying to see it from a different point of view, I feel like, so there was this idea in education a while back where, like, traditionally what happens is that if a kid's really good at math but really poor at, let's say, grammar or writing, that we focus all of our attention on the thing that they're not good at and ignore the thing that they're great at. Whereas they're probably going to accomplish more if we say, that's okay, not everybody's great at everything. Let's make sure you're proficient at this, but let's really focus on this thing that you love, that you're awesome at. And I think there is some truth to that for authors as well, that there's no way any of us can be all things to all people. And when I'm writing my books, the people that I want to thrill are those the 5-star reviewers of my books, the people who love my work. And I want to make more of those people, but you definitely want to like write for yourself and for the people that really love you, instead of trying to snag, those people that hate your guts or think that you suck, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
And as
yep.
Dell says, the trolls are real too. The internet is
Yeah.
filled with weird stuff. So
Yeah.
And Goodreads is such a problematic platform. I could go on there right now and review a book that hasn't even been written yet, and say whatever I want about it. There's no regulation at all. So that's why
I know it's so challenging. I know, right? Goodreads is so challenging because on one hand, it's a great place to get buzz going about a book.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it can be really tough. So you can either find a lot of love and support for your work over on Goodreads, or it can be just a toxic, dumpster fire over there. Both things are true, and sometimes they both happen on the same book. So yeah, it can be challenging. And I know you guys heard about about the big scandal with the debut author who created a bunch of fake Goodreads accounts and slammed the other books of her imprint, and then got caught and got her book deal canceled, and a bunch of other, and lots of internet hatred. And you don't want to be that. Yeah. Doll says I prefer Storygraph. It's a lot more accessible than Goodreads. Yeah.
That was a very cool app.
Lasagna says I was told reviews are for readers, but when I read mine, I welcome the critique, good or bad. There are some people, some really heavy readers on Goodreads who have a really great perspective. They read a ton, they know what they like, and they're giving you pretty valuable feedback. And then there are other people who are just there for the takedown. They just can't wait to find the next book they can give a scathing review to. And that's sort of their bread and butter, and why people, follow their reviews on Goodreads. So they're just like in the rest of the world, there are all kinds of people over there.
Yes.
yeah,
I think that reviews are for readers. I would add to discuss. Reviews are for authors. We can learn from them,
Sure.
for sure. But I think that, like, when you start interacting with readers and arguing,
Well, you don't want to do
that's where it can make the reader really uncomfortable. Like, readers should be free to criticize books
Absolutely.
without authors stepping in and making them feel like not like unsafe.
Yeah. That's totally true. That's totally true. You have a right to dislike something without saying, without having to argue with its creator about why your opinion is valid or not valid. And as an author, you have a right not to read those reviews, or to read them and just, vent to your mom or your best friends or your author group or whatever. So love that. All right. So one of the things I said we were going to talk about, which of course I randomly wandered off to, was how to increase chemistry between two main characters. because I think this is a really interesting idea.
Mm.
So I wanted to see, we have some romance writers, and I thought maybe we might hear something, some Avi and Lainey. Let's see, maybe not. Well, let's see if they have something to say. So do you guys have thoughts? Do you want me to say what I'm thinking, or how do we want
Please
to do
say what
this?
you're thinking. You're the romance writer here.
Okay. So I made some notes during the last sprint. Yeah. So as far as increasing chemistry between your main characters, I think one of the best ways to do that is to create some sort of conflict between them. I especially love it if one of them has to like make a sacrifice before the two of them can be together, and if that can be related to that conflict, I think that's like a really a really great way to do that. Banter, 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 banter. Lots of banter. We
Yes.
love that. I also think it's really good if you're having if you're having a chemistry issue, to put your main characters in close proximity to each other.
Mm.
Right? Just that physical, which this is what sparks affairs in real life, just proximity. And it certainly works to help increase chemistry in print as well. And I love the idea of having obstacles that the characters have to overcome together. And especially if I love like a good love-hate relationship where they're sort of enemies to lovers. They start off, they don't like each other, but there's some shared project they have to work together on. And then they grow to appreciate and like each other, and
Yes.
Another thing, I'm just going to go through, I have like a couple more. So another thing you can do is increase your descriptions of their physical responses to each other, right? When we have chemistry with another human being, our faces flush a little. We might get embarrassed more easily. We notice things about the other person, like, "Ooh, what dreamy blue eyes," and our own physiological responses, like our hearts beat faster or our skin feels warmer, and all sorts of other things. And so, use those physiological descriptions of what happens when you really connect with someone in real life, right? When you're talking, you lean a little forward, right? When you're like really into someone, you don't break eye contact as often, that kind of thing. Add those physical descriptions in because they really help the reader, because we've all experienced that at one time or another. They really help the reader to get what's going on. And then I love when you can find some sort of opposites attract thing, even if it's not an opposites attract type of romance, and they've got all kinds of things in common. If you can find something that they're opposites on, even if it's just something like one of you thinks guacamole is the most disgusting thing in the universe, and the other one has the world famous guacamole recipe, and they're trying to convert each other the whole time. Like that kind of like conflict and tension can make things really fun. And it can be about something much bigger. It depends on the kind of romance it is. I mean, obviously I write romantic comedies, so guacamole conflicts is probably something that I might actually do versus like a deeper conflict, which you definitely do with other types of romances. Forced proximity is good, but I love when they have what the other needs. Oh, I love that too. Also, if they say they're not interested, but their body language says otherwise, yes, please, absolutely. I love that. There's a scene in the Hating Game, which is or a couple scenes in the Hating Game, where you have two rival, I think they were agents. I can't remember, and I might be combining this with the Sally Thorne book. Anyway, in one of my favorite rom-coms, one of the characters gets really sick, and the character she thinks hates her guts, who is the love interest, ends up taking care of her when she's sick, like really taking care of her. And he makes sort of a personal sacrifice in calling his brother, who's a doctor who I think he was estranged from. So he's making a little sacrifice for her, and he's taking care of her. And of course she's like, "You hate me. Why are you taking care of me?" Love, love, love that.
I like that too.
Unpopular opinion, but to me the most attractive ever is when a guy thinks so outside the box that his thoughts are something new that teach me something I didn't know before. Oh no, that's awesome. That's not outside the box. I love that. Love, love, love.
Yeah.
If the guy could
Dal's book as an example,
Mhm.
characters are from two different worlds, but she creates a chemistry on what they have in common, but the fact that their worlds are in conflict, and the fact that they need to get out of a situation, and they
Uh-huh.
don't even meet until the end. And by the time they meet, you would think they would be like, "Oh yeah, we have all this in common." But what happens is sort of like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There's something there, and there's a moral to it, because that's what we do in life. We're all human beings from different worlds, and it's not what we have in common. It's those differences
Right.
that we
Right.
notice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I say that though. Sometimes sometimes it's the opposite. I will tell you that, like, when the horror geek and I fell madly in love, on paper, we do not match at all, other than the fact that we're both writers. And yet we're so compatible. And on paper, you would never, ever put us together. But we just fit, and we fit in ways that you would not necessarily expect. But I love that too. Real life
Lisa,
romance.
can I make a request?
Yes.
I have heard
Uh-huh.
that some of the like genre combining that's like trendy right now, one of the big ones is horror-mance. And I
Uh-huh.
really feel strongly that you guys need to co-author a horror-mance novel. That would be amazing.
I will bring it up to the horror geek, and we'll see
Alright.
what he has to say. You know what? That's so funny, but you could see it actually. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this about. I know you guys know this about me, but I don't know if everybody in the chat does. So for 15 years, I was the dating expert on a nationally syndicated morning show, and one of the things that like, a lot of times people go to a movie for a first date, which is a terrible idea, because you're not talking, you're just sitting there. The one kind of movie that is a good kind of movie to go to is a horror movie, because it increases your heart rate. It does all these things that mimic attraction, and you automatically feel more attracted to the person that you're with. Also, you're going through this like experience together, and so it sort of cleaves you together. It's like that, shared adversity without actual adversity.
Yes.
And so I think there's something sort of magical to the idea of a horror-mance. Horror-mance? Well, I guess it's either roarer or homance.
That's harder.
Homance could be like a farmer romance, a homance. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. We've got a couple of little things. Some authors argue with readers on social media. It's crazy. Those authors are not doing themselves any favor.
No. Leave them be.
Oh!
That is just so petty. I don't like
is.
when you make it really obvious. If you want to do something like that for yourself, just make it not obvious.
Right.
Because it's just a bad look. It's childish,
It is. And if you're like secretly like, this is my ex-boyfriend Fred, like in your head, but not, you know what I mean? Just like, yeah, but that's wrong. It's just wrong.
Yep.
That's really
too close to things like that. I mean, that's something I learned way back in design class. When you're too close to the idea that you're trying to project in your design, it doesn't work, because it becomes very personal. So it's for you, not everybody else.
Yeah.
Sisters made the mistake of responding to a reviewer before knowing the rule. I didn't argue. In fact, I apologize for not making the setup for the next book more clear. I still feel bad, though. You know what? You probably shouldn't, and they probably thought that. I'm sure that you were respectful, especially if you're apologizing, and they probably really felt very valued. And I will say, I do, like, if I get like a 5-star review on Goodreads, I will say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This really meant a lot to me, or you really made my day, because I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. This is the one day. Well, the horror geek is on baby duty today, so that's probably why we don't have him in the chat. All right, Lainey, do you have any advice on how to increase chemistry? She's got one down here. So I've been really into juxtapositions really days. So a starchy rule follower has to be paired with a hot mess who's always late. Okay, that's me. And no, I love that. Love. Regina is like, horror mats.
It can work. But just think about what Lisa said with like the heart rate and the, like they actually have more in common than you would think.
And shared adversity. I mean, let's look at speed, which is one of my favorite references for 3 act structure because everything is so obvious.
Yeah.
Think about this, right? They go through this traumatic experience together. They have to work together, and at the end of the movie and the end of the day, they feel very bonded to each other.
Exactly.
It can work.
There is a bad romance if you look at Frankenstein. I mean, he was so burned by the world that he wanted to destroy
Yeah.
things. So could somebody come along and actually fix that for the monster? I don't know.
Well, I will say one of my favorite I love that there's a mashup called, is it Warm Bodies? I think it is. And it's about or Warm Hearts, Warm Bodies. It's got that Nicholas Galt. It was a zombie movie that's a love story. I'm gonna have to go look it up, or somebody's gonna remember it. I think it has to do with, how they say like cold hands, warm heart, or something like that. Cold feet, warm heart. That's what I always say, cold feet, warm heart, because my feet are always cold. So I think it's called Warm Bodies, but it might be Warm Heart. Anyway, so basically it's a zombie movie, and you have like the people who are trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, and then the zombies live at the airport. I remember vividly. And the one zombie falls in love with like a normal and tries to first he helps her escape, but then he falls in love with her and she falls for him, and it's a really sweet romance. I loved it, and I liked it before I met the horror geek and started liking horror movies. Warm Bodies is, thank you for Avi, I appreciate it, Romeo and Juliet with zombies. That's exactly what it is.
Very good pitch.
Right?
Well done.
Oh, thank you, sisters. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Regina says, if you say it's possible, I accept the premise. I don't think I could write it. Horror voice and romance voice are so different.
Well, I think that's why it's popular, because when you finding that voice makes it so unique that it stands out. It's a different voice. It's its own voice,
Yeah. Mr. CCDV is not on board. Learn to write while writing government contracts. Well, not really good fiction fodder for fiction.
I can see that though, because government is just a soap opera, albeit terribly
That's
written.
true. You know what though? Okay, so there is a guy who has a series. Let me think of what it is. The character's name is Mort Angel. It's a mystery series, and the protagonist in the series is like a former IRS agent. He's like an IRS agent turned investigator, but it makes sense if he's an IRS agent, he's probably already an investigator. And so like there's something to be said. You could find, writing government contracts. There might be, you could uncover something sinister and then go check it out. Or, well, I could come up with like 19 story ideas right here. All right. Warm Bodies. Lysandra says it's sexy. Absolutely. Yeah. I love that because it's if you think about Twilight, one of the appealing things about that, kind of horror romance. But the thing about Twilight is that Edward, the vampire's, primary instinct is to eat people. And so he has to basically suppress himself in order to be with Bella, the girl that he loves. And there are lots of opportunity, which is, I guess, the same sort of plot with Warm Bodies. He also has to avoid eating her. If they're going to be together, he can't have her as a snack. And that's just how it goes for all of us. All right, let's go and do another sprint. We are due. I think this is a really fascinating conversation, though. Look who popped in. Hi, Shannon. Thank you so much. We're very glad to hear it. All right, let's go ahead and do our next sprint. What did I do? Hold on 1 second. I not prepared this time. Didn't have my thing up. All right, we're going to try it again. There we go. All right, everybody. We've got 20 minutes on the clock. Let's all think of our horror romance ideas. I'm going to be talking to the horror geek right after this. Maybe right after his workout today, he'll be in a good mood, and we'll see if he wants to write a horror romance with me. My guess is no. My guess is no, but we'll see what he says. All right, here we go. Well, I don't know. He kind of has a full slate of book projects he's working on.
Okay.
But if I tell him it's your idea, maybe he'll be like, no. I have to tell him it was my idea, and it's my greatest dream to write a horror romance with him. He'd do it that way because he's very sweet to me. All right, guys, here we go. We are going to get started with our first 20 or second, third, 87th 20-minute writing sprint. Let's roll. 3, 2, 1. Get writing. be helpful if I started talking after I hit the unmute button, but you know me. So very nice. How did everybody do on that last sprint? Let us know in the chat. How'd you do, Robert?
I did pretty well. I'm through most of the first scene, changing a few things.
Very nice. How about you, Michelle?
I did great. I had breakfast.
Well, meal of the day, that and the midnight snack.
Ooh.
I'm like such a late night snacker. Yeah, so I try not to be because I know it's not great for your body to like eat that late. But there's always some like, especially like if I've like had like a very long day where at like about 10:30, I'm like, what's in the refrigerator that would be delicious for me? Very, very nice. Carol Brown is with us here today. Happy to see you. Daisy says paranormal romance is a pretty big subgenre. Absolutely, absolutely true. Avi, okay, this is funny. Mr. CCDV says, egads, I'll send you some provisions and clauses that would turn you off to fiction. Love that, Mr. CCDV. Very nice. Avi disagrees that horror and romance are that different. Not to get too sciencey, but the senses are aroused by fear and love are quite similar. That's actually true. I'm sorry if I did not see that. I hope that I did not step on your toes when I was talking about being a dating expert and recommending that you go to a horror movie for the exact same reason. Avi is right on the money there. Shannon wrote 278 words in the first 10 minutes, but lunch is calling. I'll be back. Very nice. Fear and attraction light up the same areas of the brain. Yes, they do. Oh, nice. Welcome back. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. So let me go back and grab our other questions. I feel like we had some today we were going to deal with. And let's see if I was good and wrote them down. Dun, dun. Possibly, possibly not. Nope, I did not. We had one from last week. Did anybody have a question this week that we were supposed to answer last week and that we did not get to? Please drop it in the chat and let us know. Or if you have a question this week that you want us to get to. I am in the process of editing this ghost book, and so that's what I did over our last sprint, and I feel like it went very, very well. Like for the yesterday, I had a pretty good working day. I'm not working as many hours because we've had little baby in the house for the last couple of weeks, which has been kind of fun and also exhausting. You sort of forget how exhausting, but it's been kind of awesome. Yeah. So anyway, okay. So yeah, I did great on this time. I did okay yesterday. I feel like I'm finally catching up. My brain has been hurting lately. Sister says, I've been putting the outline on into index cards on Scrivener, and I have no idea how to check my word count. Do you still use Scrivener, Michelle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me
Do
see.
you remember?
I have it open right now. Let's see.
Ooh.
So you have to make sure that your outline, your cards, I have to find it. Sorry. Are the include in compile is checked yes, which is over on the right side. And then you go up to project and you can do show project targets or project settings and it'll tell you your word count.
Very nice. Ooh, Maz says, is it on Mac or Windows? Because it's different. It'd be different. Do you have, are you writing on a Mac?
Yes.
Yeah. How about sister? Are you writing on a Mac or a PC? I bet that function is pretty similar though.
Yeah.
It might be in a different place. But I also, once you said the compile button, I was like, oh yeah, it's been a little while since I used Scrivener. But I did remember that. What a giant pain in the neck it is. Here's a good question from Avi. How do you title your books? I'm fascinated by writers' processes. So how about you? How do you title your books? Michelle, let's go to you. No, I'm kidding. Robert, I'm sorry, I'm a little ornery today, apparently. Michelle, we'll give you a pause to finish breakfast. And Robert, how do you title books?
I try to come up with a metaphor for the most part and come up with a couple of subjects that don't usually go together, but somehow pick up on the essence of the book. When that's not possible, I try to do something that at least sounds like there's some intriguing words up front that will incite people to know more.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's hard. Titling
It
is a completely different skill than writing. And there are many authors who are terrible at titling and excellent writers. And that is okay because titling is sort of a sales tool. For me, I always, I worked in advertising very early on in my career. And so I will always write down like 50 to 100 ideas. And sometimes, like your publisher does not like, even if you love the title and you think it's perfect, but if you're traditionally published, sometimes your publisher will not like it. I had the book that became 15 Minutes of Shame. Can I move my count? There it is. You can see it back there. That book was originally titled The Dream Girl Academy, which was sort of based on something that I have, like a little class that I used to teach at like the learning annex when I started writing dating advice books. And the main character in the book was a dating expert. And I was looking for a little synergy there. And the publisher, Penguin, hated it. And then they decided that they wanted to call it Have You Heard, which I hated. I thought that I didn't really care for that title. I just thought it was kind of boring. It could be really about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, although it was like a gossipy kind of a like, there is like, she is like subjected to all this gossip because she's a public figure. She's a public dating expert and she's on television, and her husband gets caught cheating on her. And it's like this with a reality TV star, and it's like this big scandal, and everywhere she goes, people think she's a fraud, even though she just, like a lot of us, has been cheated on once in her life. So I like kept coming up with other ideas, and eventually we settled on 15 Minutes of Shame, which I did not know at the time was also an episode title of The Family Guy.
Yeah.
I do not watch The Family Guy. I never liked that show, and lovely to all of you who do, but I would not have known that. And actually, now there have been like a couple of songs with that same title, but that ended up being the title. So I think it's probably better than The Dream Girl Academy or Have You Heard. I don't know if it was like the greatest title ever, but I always think of like advertising is like when you're working on a headline, that's a lot like a title is for a book, and so I sort of approach it in the same way. All right, Michelle.
All right.
What's your process?
Every once in a while, I'll have the title first, and that's great. But most of the time when I start brainstorming an idea, what I'll do is I'll just keep a running list of words that I feel represent the book in some way. Even if I know the word, I would never use it in a title. I'll put it on the list, and the list gets longer and longer. I'll start looking for like synonyms of the word. If I'm writing the draft and a phrase catches my eye, I'll write it down. And I just need to see all of these words in one big list. And then I can start like coming up with ideas. And it's usually like combining words to make different phrases, even if I know they're wrong, until I find the one that's like, that's it.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a long time.
It does. I will say, when I did the first book in my hockey romance, I named it The Cutting Edge, which was also the name of a popular movie from like the 80s or the early 90s, which is like about a hockey player who goes into gets injured, can't play hockey anymore, and so he becomes a pairs figure skater with this sort of diva figure skater, and they go to the Olympics. And it's got like DB Sweeney in it and Moira Kelly, and it's like delicious in its like late 80s, early 90s ness. And I always loved that movie, but I chose The Cutting Edge as a title. One, you can't copyright a title, and it's a really old movie. But I chose it because my book also has a figure skater and a hockey player, even though the storyline is so much different. And also, there's been a little bit of a trend where it's sort of doing a play on, or sort of using movie titles. I'm not doing any of that for obviously the future books in the series are not going to be named after other hockey movies, but it really felt like it sort of fit, because there's like a situation in the book where her ice skating career is at risk, and because of him. And so I just sort of love that idea of like the cutting edge and sort of like a line of delineation.
Mhm.
The second book in the series is a fake fiance. And I love the idea of using sort of words that evoke hockey or ice or whatever. And so I'm calling that one Cold Feet, because cold feet are associated with getting married, but also cold feet with being on the ice, right? So I
Love
thought,
the
okay,
phrase.
that'll right. I thought, I'm like, okay, I love that. It sort of works.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? I'm like looking to see. So she cheats and he's the fraud. The world is not a real place. I know, right? But if you're a dating expert, I will tell you this story. I came up with the idea for this novel because when my first dating book came out, I was at Book Expo with my agent. It was my first book. I'm all excited. My book's going to come out in a couple days. I'm at Book Expo, which is like this massive book convention. I'm with my brand new agent. I feel like I am a real author. This is the greatest thing ever. And my agent ran into another agent she knew who happened to represent the ladies who wrote The Rules, which
Mm.
was a very big dating book. And one of them had they had written this book where it was pretty disrespectful to men in general. And they had sort of trotted their husbands out on talk show after talk show. And one of the husbands revolted and divorced, and they almost like killed the franchise. I mean, it was
Wow.
really bad for a while. And then here I come out with a dating book, and I'm like, I just had this feeling like, oh my God, what if another person can do something that completely destroys your career? Like, you have no control over how other people act, and yet
Yeah.
it could completely destroy your career. And that idea was fascinating to me. And that was sort of the germ of the idea behind 15 Minutes of Shame. So yeah, right. But yes, that happens. It happens a lot. It happens in real life all the time. I actually had done like a media pitch about all these different examples where a spouse was blamed for the other spouse's behavior, and that the person who was more high profile sort of paid the price. RC says choosing a title is the hardest part, and I always overthink it, but I always have it named before I start writing. Right? Okay. Right? Yes. They perform the Pimshenko. I won't tell you whether or not they won the Olympics. You'll have to rent it yourself. Love. Lysandra says my titles come to me first. Shannon says probably be better to be an excellent writer and an awful titler than the other way around. Agreed, because you can always find someone to help you title.
Yeah, Hemingway was supposedly lousy at titles, and I guess his wife came up with a lot of his titles.
It's a completely different skill set. I do like I enjoy a little wordplay with my titles, but I also have the opportunity to have some fun because I write romantic comedies, and so like you can do some little jabs in there that that you might not be able to do in a different one.
Yep.
Matt says it's extra tricky if you name the chapters too, right? Totally true. All right, you guys. Oh, it's 12:43. What should we do? What should we do? Chit chat. I don't have another question. Do we chit chat? Do we try and cram in another one? Michelle is usually the one who has to go. Can you go 3 minutes late?
I can go 3 minutes late.
All right, we're gonna do it, you guys. Dun dun dun. Here we go. All right. We've got this. We're gonna get Michelle out of here 3 minutes later than our time. All of you, we can make it. Right like the wind. 3, 2, 1. Last sprint, make it count. All right, we made it through. Yay. So we had thank you guys all so much. We're going to try and pop out of here really quickly, but Renee asked a really great question. Any advice on writing small town romance series, especially with forming a fictional town? We will address that because it's great for romance, but also it applies to a lot of other types of books. We are going to address this question next week in the stream. But Vixen has given some really fantastic advice on the topic, and so like it's really spectacular. So Vixen, I hope you'll be here next week. You're always here. I hope you'll be here next week, and we can all talk about this. But I think she gave some really, really fantastic advice, and I would love to talk about this further. So you guys are fantastic and awesome. We are going to quickly say our goodbyes because now we're at 1:05. I'm going to let Michelle go first.
Thank you. All right. I'm Michelle Schusterman. I'm a young adult and middle grade author. My channel is writing workshops, writing vlogs, and traditional publishing chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Oh, you're welcome.
Always.
Thank you so much for being here. As always, Robert Jones, tell us a little about you, aka the Story Detective, and your awesome channel.
My channel is The Story Detective, where I take various forms of storytelling and put them under a Sherlockian microscope to break down the craft for the viewer and to make your craft journey easier.
Yay! I know here I'm like, I feel bad because I was like, oh, Vixen will be here next week. Thank you very much. We hope you're here. We hope you're here. We love you. I'm Lisa Daly. I write romantic comedies and nonfiction advice. And on my channel, we talk about how to write a book you're super proud of and get it published. We will see you guys all here next Wednesday, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern for more writing sprints and publishing questions. So love you guys, and we will see you next time. Keep on writing.
Keep those keyboards clacking.
Got it.